If you were to sneak into my bedroom right now, which you shouldn't do, you would find that I own about 150 things. That includes everything. It includes all my clothes, all my computer equipment, literally everything. I own about 150 things. And I've found that this is one of the best gifts that I've ever given myself, is just removing stuff. Today's video, we're going to talk about exactly that. We're going to talk about minimizing your belongings. So the first question is, why would you want to minimize your belongings? And I bet you already know the answer. The answer is weight. It's both physical weight and emotional weight. So when I was fired from my job, right, that was a crappy time in my life, and what I knew was that it was time to take my life leap. And the only thing that was holding me back was logistics, right? Moving, breaking my lease, saying goodbye to my friends, finding a new place to live, that kind of thing. Luckily, before that happened, I had started the process of paring down all of my things. At that point, I was down to 100 worldly objects. So when it was time to move, that part of it was actually very easy. It didn't hold me back at all. I put everything I owned into a carry-on bag and I just went to the airport. It was quite easy. The other part of this was emotional. I knew that if that bag was to get lost, I was no longer tied to my things. There's a cliche that if you don't own things, things own you. And I'm actually a really big believer in this. I think it's very true. I know that I get very emotionally attached to objects sometimes, be it shirts from college or like my rock collection from a little kid. These are things that are not very portable at all, but become like actually have weight in my conscience. So by getting rid of these things or donating them or throwing them away, you're able to really lighten your load, both physically and mentally. The next question that comes up when you're minimizing your stuff is how much stuff is realistic? So the popular notion online is to get down to 100 things. And I did this for about a year. And I'll tell you, I got the benefits from before. It was I felt very light. I didn't have a lot of mental or physical weight. And I was very, very flexible. I literally could put everything I owned into one carry-on suitcase, which the suitcase itself counted as one item. So 99 things into that suitcase. And that worked really well. But I ran into problems. I didn't have spare batteries for my camera, so I lost some cool shots. I wore the same clothes so often that it started to become a joke with my family. Like it became an issue. So I think 100 is something really to strive to and something that maybe you should try once in your life. But now I live with about 150 things and I feel really comfortable about it. That has been the number that I've found best. I know from women that they actually the way that culture's set up, they require more things, right? They have to wear more underwear than us men do. They have a lot of other accessories which are important for their days. And so their number should probably be, say, 25% higher than that. And the goal here is not to obsess per se over the number, but just to have some goal in mind so that you know when you've reached it, and so that you can feel accomplished and so you can start making forward progress. Okay, so now that we've asked those two questions, it's time for the actual fun part, the cleanse. So the cleanse is the process, the actual days that you set aside to get rid of your stuff. So how do you do this? Well, the first thing is important. Set aside a day or two to actually do your cleanse. Just block off your entire calendar day and say, today I'm going to get rid of things. The important part here is what you do with your things. So when I did this, I put it through my 3-pile technique. That's what I'm calling it. 3 piles are things you're going to keep, things you're going to either throw away or donate, and things you're going to put in a box. Now, the third one's the most important. With the box technique, you put the things that you get emotionally attached to. So for me, this was shirts from college. And I put them in there because I just couldn't donate them. I just couldn't throw them away. I was too attached to them. But by putting them in a box, they were kind of out of sight, out of mind. And what I did is I put them up in a super inconvenient place in the closet I happen to have in that apartment. And what I found was eventually, after say 3 months, 4 months, when I looked at those boxes, it was just much easier to get rid of that stuff, right? It was out of sight, out of mind. It was something that became much easier. So after you do the cleanse of a full calendar day where you separate everything in 3 piles, you donate things to local charity, you bring a bunch of stuff to the dump if that's applicable, and you have these boxes that you put in an inconvenient place so you worry less about your stuff, then you need to do maintenance, because trust me, the world's going to creep up on you and you're going to start attaining new things. The first form of maintenance I did was what I called donation Sundays. So the name's a little cheesy, I'll admit that, but it was a super effective tactic for me. What I did, without exception, every single Sunday was get rid of 5 things. So most of these things I donated, right? If they're clothes, I gave them to like a Goodwill nearby, or I gave them to some kind of charity. For little things like pen caps or odds and ends, or just like little trinkets I'd picked up around my travels, that stuff I threw away, or I gave to friends. I did this every single Sunday for, I think about 4 months, until the point when I've gotten rid of 5 things a day every Sunday, so 5 things a week. And I've really pared down and got myself to my 100 item goal. Now, once I was at the 100 item goal, then I continued to have to do maintenance. So whenever I'd get a new thing, so let's say I had to get new shoes, right, because my other shoes were just completely done, I got rid of the old shoes. I made this a strict rule that every single time I got something new, I would get rid of something old. And I did this so I could keep myself at that 100 level. So what's the result of this been? I'll tell you, I feel like a completely different person. I view stuff completely differently, right? I still have a few prized possessions, like my camera I really like a lot. But if I was to lose it, it's okay. I'm emotionally and like intellectually all right with that. Stuff has become less of like part of who I am and just become a tool that I use to like showcase what I want to become and work towards that direction. So I have a completely different relationship with stuff. The other one that my friends, my family comment on more is that I'm just so much more flexible now. I don't own a lot of stuff, so I can travel very often, right? If you read my blog, you'll know this. And I can just almost always bring everything that I own with me and just not have to worry about it. I don't have a lot of stuff, and I can usually get replacements for all of it. So those are all the tips and tactics and tricks that I have. I'd like to give a shout out to Ryan Ricketts. Thank you for the suggestion to make this video. This was something I didn't even know that people were interested in. So really appreciate that, Ryan. Thank you. If any of you who are watching this have an idea that you would like me to talk about in a video, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to try to share more knowledge and learn from all of you via this conversation. So thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you below.